Hi there! Thank you for stopping by again, or welcome for the first time on my YouTube channel. I'm Marie, the teacher, and today I just wanted to stop by and make a quick video on some tips that I learned as a first year teacher. And I hope that this video will help anyone or give you kind of an insight if you're not a teacher yet to how it feels to be a teacher and some of the tricks that I've learned as a first year teacher and how I'm handling it and how I'm surviving. So stick around and I hope that you find this video instructive. Okay, so I'm gonna call these tips random things. So they're gonna be random things that I've learned not to do or to be careful of during the year. The year is not over yet, but let me just tell you about these random tips. So the first random tip that I have is think about how long it will take you to correct the exam that you're giving the kids. So for context, I am a English second language teacher in a Francophone community, and I have 6 groups, 3 different levels. So I have grade 7, grade 9, and grade 10. So I have about 180 students total, and when I would make an exam, I always had this thing in mind where I would plan that a day would be an exam. So we've learned about a bunch of grammar rules. We saw a type of text, and it ends up that Thursday during third period for 75 minutes, that will be the grammar exam, and I tell the kids to prepare for it and we review it. And then I make the exam 75 minutes long, including extra time. So I actually make it around 50 minutes long, and then 25 minutes for anyone that needs extra time or for anyone that wants to review, etc. So the problem with that is that it makes the exam really long for me to grade, if I'm being completely honest. And it's something that I can easily avoid, but I was doing it just because in my mind I'm a very ABC type of person, and 1, 2, 3 type of person, not 1.5, 2.2, if you get what I mean. So I like for it, if it's the exam day, then it's the whole period. I mean, if it's the exam period, then that whole period is for the exam. I don't want to start any new material. I want to save it for the next class so that they have kind of a break in their mind. And so I would always make the exam worth a period long with extra time. But it doesn't always have to be the case, because that's when, in my personal situation, especially for those grammar exam, it makes the exam really long to grade, and I have 180 students, and I have to give the exam back in a decent amount of time, because if you wait too long and then you give them their exam back and it's been 2 months, well, they don't care about it anymore. They just look at it and they're like, huh, okay, never mind. So in order for me to give it back in a decent amount of time, um, well, I need to kind of remove some weight on these exams. So all this to say that I've come to realize that when I'm making an exam, I don't tend to think about how long it will actually take me to grade it. Um, and one of the old teachers that I have at my school told me that it's not because the exam is long that it's a good exam, right? It's not because the exam is long that they understand better, or you understand better what they don't understand. There are ways to make an exam shorter and just as good as a longer version of an exam. and not as repetitive as a longer version exam. So I've come to realize that I can make an exam shorter and still have a really good exam where I get to test the students and see what they understood, what they didn't understand, and it will take me less time to grade it, which is good for them because then I can give them feedback faster while it's still fresher in their brains and they're still curious about it and they care about the grade that they got and they want to do better, you know? So that's the one random tip that I learned. Nowadays, particularly for my grade 7 students, I try to make the exam shorter, but packed with everything that I want them, that I want to see that they've learned, and I want to test that they've learned. And I've come to notice that it does not affect their grade at all. I changed the way that I asked questions to make less questions, and for the most part, some students actually did better because I changed the way that I formulated it. And it had a different impact. So I'm still in a learning curve while I'm trying to see like what is the best way of doing things. But because I need to be careful of my energy and the time that I spend on things, because presently all of my grading is done on extra time. It's done on evenings or weekends. I just came to realize that it doesn't have to be that long. Okay, it doesn't have to take the whole period. I can make a short exam and then we can do something fun after, or we can read after, and it will not make that big of a difference. You know, it will not affect their grade. The only thing that it'll do is that it'll make it good for me. So when you do your exam as a first year teacher, and you already know that you're full of things to do, your list of to do is never ending, look at your exam. Okay, look at your exam. Don't just print an old exam or just create this long exam. Look at it. Think about how long this exam will take you to grade. As I've said in the beginning, I have 180 students. So it makes a difference for me. If for you have a decent amount of students and you are used to grading, you've been grading for years now, and you can just do it like that and it's done, then good for you. But for some of us here, for that one person that's watching this video, I just want you to know, look at your exam, think about how long it'll take you and reflect on that. Make a decision after you've actually thought about it. So, another random thing that I've come to realize was important and I needed to be careful of, again, still while grading, is to, again, when you're doing your exam, you look at how long, you look at each question, especially if it's not your exam. Especially if it's someone else's exam or exam that exists and you're just using it. Look at each question, look at their worth, and make sure you know, and this is really, I'm assuming it's mostly for us beginner teachers. Make sure that you understand why each question is worth the amount that it's worth. And by this, more precisely, what I mean is you need to know in your mind when you start correcting what you accept, what you do not accept, and how much each you remove points or you allow points. This is something that I came to realize pretty quick when I started correcting. I would have questions that are on 2, and then the answers that you're going to get from students are going to be divergent. You're going to get students that give you the same answer but in many different ways, or they're going to give you the right answers but in 2 different ways, and then you're going to give students that give you the wrong answers in 2 different ways. And you have to figure out beforehand already what passes and what does not pass, and how much you are going to remove points per mistakes. This is very important because you have to be consistent when you correct, right? If you let something slide for one student, then you need to remember that you let slide, and then you have to, every time you see that same mistake, then you allow points, or you remove the same amount of points each time. So I know it sounds intuitive, and it makes sense, but when you start correcting, and you, especially when you have an amount of points for a question that is not equal to the amount of elements inside. For instance, if you have an exam that requires 7 things, and you give your pointage is on 5, then you have to figure out, like, do I remove 0.5? Do I remove 1? Do I remove 0.2? And what is worth more than the other? How do I make sure that it's equivalent? Okay, my light just died, so if it looks darker, that's why. But my third tip is that you do not have to over evaluate your students. I've come to realize this as an English second language teacher. I realized that I was giving them a lot of exams, and that is more than the others. And I'm talking about big exams. I'm not talking about small quizzes and stuff like that. I was making like per trimester for 3-4 months, because we have terms that end for high school. I was giving 3-4 exam per competency, and that made it very heavy on me, because I had to grade all of those exams in time for them to have a feedback. And often for the first 2 terms, I ended up having to remove 1 or 2 or 3 exams, just because I was evaluating them way too much. And when I'm saying that I was giving 3-4 exams, it's per competencies. In English second language, where I teach, we have 3 competencies. So 3 times 3, that was 9 exam per grade. And so if you multiply it by 3, because I have 3 grades, that was 18 exams. So that's another one of my tips. You don't have to over evaluate. It comes back to my first tip, which is you can do smaller things, or you can do less exams that are worth just as much, or that are just as good as having too many exams. And keep that in mind. I'm talking about too many exams. If you have to follow a guideline and there are exams that you have to give, you do that. But I'm saying, if you deem that you, such as me, you want to give your students as many chances as possible for them to have good grades, because you believe that they should have many chances of getting grades and being tested, so that they don't just have 2 grades where it's not good, and then that represents their whole semester. Just know that, it's okay to cancel an exam, and to realize at the end that I'm not going to be able to grade this. This is too much, and I have enough, and it's good enough. So that's another one of my tips. You don't have to overgrade them. Over evaluate them. And it's okay to cancel an exam that was not going to be needed, was not going to be representing a lot anyways. Okay, so my fourth tip is that you are a teacher, and I know that regardless of where you are teaching, you have a lot going on, you have a lot to grade, you have a lot to plan, you have a lot of kids that you care about, and you're trying to make them pass, and you're giving a lot of your energy to them. And that's it. That's the thing. In order for you to be that good teacher to them, in order for you to do these amazing projects with them, and to have the energy to grade them, you need to preserve your energy very well, and you need to be picky on the things that you devote your energy to. So what I'm trying to say is, be, what's the word? I'm francophone, so sometimes if my English is like lacking, that's why. You have to protect your energy. Like, it's like a candle that you have in your hand, and there's wind blowing, and you have to be like this. I find, as a teacher, I have to protect my energy. I have to be picky on the things that I put my energy into, and the extra time that I do, I have to pick what I want to do as extra time, if I want to do extra time, because I need to have that energy for the kids. I need to preserve that energy for the kids, for teaching, for grading, for being there for them, because that's what's important to me. What's really important to me is that I'm a good teacher. And I'll get there one day. Right now, I'm good, but I want to be better. In order for me to be better, I need to preserve that energy, because I found in my case that it can be very easy um to become tired, to become bitter. That's the word I was looking for. To become bitter, because you're going to feel like people are asking things from you that you shouldn't necessarily have to do, and people are going to expect you to do it in your overtime. And so you can easily become bitter and tired, and I think that that's what leads people to leave, and the conditions, all the kids that you have to handle, and their unicity, their needs, their different needs, right? So this also goes back into everything that I just said before about grading. You need to make, as one of my colleagues said, executive decisions as a teacher, and decide how you're going to separate your time and your energy to make sure that you have time and energy for yourself and for the kids afterwards, because you're going to be the best teacher that you can be only if you have energy and you feel fulfilled and you feel like you have a life outside of teaching. And the students can feel that. They can feel when you seem to be happy to be there. They can feel that, and it makes a difference. So preserve your energy well. Pick what you want to invest your energy on. Well, there are things that you have to do. Obviously, I'm not saying don't do that. Do what you have to do. But I'm talking about those extra things that you will be asked to do, or you will feel the need to do. Those things, look at them, evaluate them, analyze them, and pick what is worth you putting more time into, so that doesn't affect you physically, emotionally, mentally, because you want to teach for a long time, right? I assume everything I'm saying is to myself. Essentially, this is the things that I need to remind myself every day, so that I don't crash and burn. But in my case, I have so much love for the kids and for my job that, like, for now I'm surviving. But I still realized that I had to cut on some things, cut some exams, stop doing so much overtime, because it was just taking over my life, and I didn't appreciate that at some point. And so if you want to keep that love for teaching, because it's a relationship, and every relationship needs to be healthy and not toxic, and doing 27 hours of overtime like I was doing, that was definitely toxic. And so those are the 4 tips that I had for you guys for today. Thank you for stopping by. I will be posting more videos. I will also be posting videos in French. I hope you'll stick around. If you like the video, please subscribe, like, or even comment, if I may ask. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you learned something today. Thank you. Bye.